Hi guys, just going to run through the content for the last session. So we talked about components, health and safety, and then we just refreshed on a little bit of maths. So I'm not going back over the homework question that you had. We'll just start with components. So components, just for you to be aware that they are pre-manufactured parts or materials that are added to a garment or a textile product. They're not fabrics or fibers, but they are items that are added to enhance function, structure, aesthetics of a final product. So they include fastenings, structural components, decorative components, functional components, and then electrical and smart components. So I'm not going to read through all of these, but the first one, fastenings, things that you would use to close or open or adjust a garment. So the example I was talking about was the zip trousers, like cargo pants, where you could change them from trousers to shorts by zipping them. So zips, buttons, buttonholes, Velcro, buckles, those kinds of things. Next one is structural components. So this could be interfacing. We talked about stiffening a collar, underlining, lining, shoulder pads, tapes, boning in a corset, that sort of thing. Decorative components is the next one. So these are things that are used to enhance the aesthetics of something or perhaps sometimes add branding. Lace trims, fringing, piping, ribbons, applique, embroidery, beads, sequins, diamantes, those kinds of things. So functional components used to improve comfort, function, or safety. So could be elastic, reflective tape, wadding, padding, underwire, boning again, adjusters, sliders, the clips that you have on the back of a bra we were talking about. Electronic and smart components is the final one. So used in interactive or performance garments, sensors, LEDs, heating elements. Maybe it's a garment with a built-in heater to keep the person warm while they're climbing Everest. Smart fabrics, temperature regulation, battery packs, conductive thread. This is where I was talking about the gloves with the indicator on the back of the hand. That the switch was the index finger and thumb, and then there was an arrow that would light up on the back of the glove. So that was for cycling, like an indicator for cycling. Okay, then we went on to talking about health and safety. Some of this you had already covered, so I'll be quite quick with this. The main things to be aware of are the different acts and sort of laws that are in place. You're aware of the health and safety concerns. We talked about sharp tools, chemicals, those sorts of things when we're using the workshop, but also in industry. You need to be aware of how we identify risks and how to follow safe practices. You might get a risk assessment question in an exam, so you need to be able to appropriately assess the risks of a particular process. So these are different laws or standards. You just need to be aware of these. It's worth looking over these. So Health and Safety at Work Act, PPE regulations, COSH, manual handling regulations, electricity at work regulations. So make sure you read through those and familiarise yourself. I'm not going to read through all of this, but again, just read through and make sure you are very clear. I guess the key point with this one is that it's the employers that must provide safe equipment, training, and environments. And it's also the employee's responsibility to follow the safety procedures that are put in place. So both parties have a responsibility. Electricity at work regulations. This is all to do with the safe use of electrical equipment in the workplace. All electrical tools must be checked and maintained regularly. We talked here about PAT testing and how we have to, it's usually once a year, but you have to have all electrical equipment checked. So it's plugged into a machine to make sure that it's working correctly. And then usually a little sticker is placed either on the plug or on the wire to say that it has been PAT tested and is safe to use. So this was the risk assessment. We didn't actually do this and we didn't go over all of these slides. You'd already covered that in school. Okay, so then we moved on to these exam questions. So we talked about the BSI, And this 6-mark question explaining the role of the BSI in ensuring fashion and textile products are safe for consumers. With this question, again, we just need to make sure that we have read exactly what the question is asking. It's not a compare and contrast, it's just asking us to tell them about our knowledge of BSI. That's what it's asking ultimately. So I won't read through all of the stuff that's on the screen now, but I guess the key points are that the BSI is not a law, it's something that a company, a brand can apply for. So as long as they comply with all of the British standards that have been given, then they can apply to have the kite mark added to their product or their brand. And obviously, that's kind of a reassurance for the consumer to say that they have complied with all of the things that the British standards have set out. Yeah, and just gives an extra bit of confidence, I suppose, to the consumer. So there are a few things here. Care labeling. So the care label informs the consumer of fiber content in case of allergies. We talked about nightwear and keeping away from fire. Setting guidance for flammability testing. So home furnishings will always have, well, if they're complying with the BSI, they will have fire testing. Often they'll have a fire retardant finish that's applied to the fabric as well. Testing samples of products and awarding certification to ensure products meet British or European standards. Design and manufacture of children's clothing must not include cords or hoods. And then zips on boys' trousers under 5 must not be used. So then we just did these maths questions. I won't go through those either. And I think there was one more question on health and safety. Yes. Outline the steps taken when carrying out risk assessments in a workshop. So they wanted us to give a very good outline of the steps taken when carrying out risk assessments in a workshop. Information is generally accurate, is what they're looking for, fairly easy to follow. At the top end of the mark band, there is a clear understanding of the process of risk assessment. So this is purely tell us what you know about risk assessment and the steps that you would take. So identify the hazards, assess the risks, control the risks, what we're putting into place to stop the incidences from happening, record the findings, and then reviewing them. Okay, and then I'm pretty sure we did do this question. So this one is basically on labeling and asking you to name 3 labels that there could be on a garment or on a textile product. So you can have any of these from the list: BSI kite mark, fibre content, country of origin, sizing information, fire labeling, furnishings, labels, maybe with the cigarette or match resistant triangle, lion mark on toys, CE mark, eco label, QR codes that link to further information, quality assurance like the wall mark. Okay, and that was everything that we went through in this session. So I will see you next week.